I never thought a broken laptop would change my life. But on October 3rd, 2023, at exactly 8:47 p.m., that's exactly what happened. My name is Dominic Hayes. I'm 41, a software architect for a healthcare company in Portland, Oregon. I've been married to Kristen for 13 years, together for 16 total. We met through work when she was just starting as a paralegal at a small firm, and I was doing IT consulting for them. We have two daughters, Emma, 10, and Sophie, 7, both in elementary school. We live in a large house in the suburbs that we purchased 8 years ago when I got a significant promotion. By all measurable standards, we were successful. Joint finances, 2 solid careers. I made good money, and Kristen pulled in about $95K as a senior paralegal at a prestigious law firm. For the past 3 months, Kristen had been stressed about a big case. That meant working late 2 or 3 nights a week, weekend depositions, and client meetings that seemed to multiply with each passing week. I didn't think much of it. Her firm was demanding, and she'd had busy periods before. But looking back, there were signs I should have seen. She'd grown less affectionate, constantly distracted, always on her phone, smiling at texts that she'd quickly hide if I walked by. But that Tuesday evening in October, none of that was on my mind. I was focused on a presentation I needed to finish for work the next day when my laptop decided to stop cooperating. It kept getting stuck in a restart loop, completely unusable. After 40 minutes of trying every troubleshooting trick I knew, I gave up. I needed to borrow Kristen's laptop. She was at another late meeting and wouldn't be home until at least 10 p.m. The house was quiet. The girls were already in bed. I walked into our home office and grabbed her Dell laptop. It wasn't exclusively hers. We considered it a family device, and we both used it sometimes. Neither of us password protected our devices from each other. That was our policy. Total transparency. I opened Chrome to start working on my presentation. I needed to find a reference document from the company portal, so I clicked on the address bar and typed A. That's when everything changed. The autocomplete drop-down appeared, showing her recent searches. Apartments for rent, downtown Portland. Apartments Pearl District 1 bedroom. Average cost of living alone, Portland. I stared at the screen, confused. Why was my wife looking at apartments? Maybe it was for a friend, a coworker? I tried to rationalize it, but something felt wrong. I continued working, needing to look up some divorce statistics for my presentation on healthcare stress correlations. I typed D in the search bar. The autocomplete showed divorce lawyers near me. Divorce lawyers, Portland reviews. Divorce process, Oregon timeline. Do I need a lawyer for divorce? My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands froze on the keyboard. This has to be for work, I told myself. She's a paralegal. She helps with divorces. But her firm specialized in corporate law, not family law. With shaking hands, I typed H in the search bar. How to hide assets before divorce. How to protect money in divorce. How long does divorce take in Oregon? Hidden bank accounts, divorce. I sat there, staring at the screen for a full minute, unable to process what I was seeing. Then, methodically, I started typing other letters, testing what would appear. S showed separate finances during marriage. W showed when to hire divorce attorney. M showed moving out before divorce Oregon. The pattern was clear, consistent, deliberate. This wasn't research for work. This was research for her, for us, for ending us. My training as a software architect kicked in. I knew the importance of data preservation. Every instinct screamed at me to call her, to confront her immediately, but I forced myself to stop. If she was planning to hide assets, confronting her now would only lead to her destroying evidence. I needed to document everything first, then ask questions later. I opened the snipping tool and began taking screenshots of each autocomplete search with the timestamp visible in the corner. I named each file systematically: 2023-1003 browser, search a PNG, and saved them to the desktop temporarily. Next, I went into Chrome settings, found the history section, and exported her entire browsing history as a JSON file. I exported her bookmarks too, which included folders with dates. The file metadata would show creation dates and modification dates, all potential evidence. I manually scrolled through her history going back 4 months, finding a pattern that started in early July 2023. I took screenshots of key searches with dates visible. July 8th. Is my husband entitled to my inheritance? July 15th. Separate bank account without spouse knowing. August 3. Oregon Divorce Asset Division Rules. August 12th. Post office box rental near me. September 1st. Best time to file for divorce. September 18th. How to leave your husband checklist. The methodical part of my brain took over completely. I created a new folder in my personal Google Drive called Legal Evidence Oak 2023 and uploaded all screenshots, history exports, and bookmark files. I added my phone as a backup device. For physical backup, I emailed all files to my personal email account, not our joint account, copied everything to a USB drive, took photos of each screenshot on the laptop screen using my phone, and texted the screenshots to myself to create a time-stamped record. Then I opened a Word document, saved it to both the USB and cloud, and wrote a detailed account of what happened. The date and time I accessed the laptop, the reason, my broken laptop, what I found, and the steps I'd taken to preserve evidence. I noted that the laptop was a shared family device that we both used regularly. While documenting, I noticed a bookmark folder labeled K Personal. Inside were saved Zillow searches for apartments, saved Indeed job postings, all in different cities: Seattle, San Francisco, Austin. An article titled Starting Over After Divorce at 40, and another called Co-Parenting from Different States. This wasn't an impulse, this was planning. The bookmark showed she'd been researching since June 2023, over 4 months. By 9:47 p.m., after an hour of careful evidence preservation, I had everything backed up in 3 places: cloud, USB, and email. Chain of custody established. Now I needed to decide what to do next. I forced myself to work on my presentation. I needed normalcy, routine, something to focus on besides the nuclear bomb that had just detonated in my life. At 10:23 p.m., I heard the front door open. Kristen was home. She walked in tired, carrying her briefcase, kicking off her heels as she entered the living room where I was working. "Hey babe, sorry I'm late. Deposition ran long," she said, dropping her things on the counter. I kept my voice normal, casual. "No problem. How'd it go?" "Exhausting. I'm going to shower and crash," she replied, heading for the stairs. I nodded, acting as if nothing had changed, as if I hadn't just discovered she was planning to leave me, to destroy our family. "Did you get your laptop fixed?" she asked, pausing at the bottom of the stairs. "Yeah, just needed a restart." "All good now," I lied. The truth was I'd fixed it in 10 minutes after discovering her searches. I'd spent the hour documenting her betrayal. "Good. Night, babe," she said, relief evident in her voice. She pecked my cheek and headed upstairs. She didn't ask if I'd used her laptop. Didn't seem concerned at all. That night, I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling while she slept peacefully beside me. My thoughts raced, analyzing everything, planning my next steps. Is there someone else? Where is she hiding money? How long has she been planning this? Does she know I know? I wanted to shake her awake and demand answers, but I knew that would destroy any chance of protecting myself and the kids. I needed to be smart, methodical, calculated, just like she had been. Tomorrow morning, I would call a lawyer before she could. The irony wasn't lost on me. She thought she was being clever, but she was married to a software architect who documents everything, who sees patterns, who preserves evidence. It was 1:30 a.m. before I finally fell asleep. The next morning, I dropped the kids at school and called in sick to work. I needed to focus on this to get ahead of whatever Kristen was planning. I Googled divorce attorney Portland men's rights and found James Rothman, 25 years of experience, specializing in protecting fathers' rights. At 8:47 a.m., I called his office. I need to see Mr. Rothman today. It's urgent, I told the receptionist. I have evidence my wife is planning to file for divorce and hide assets. He had a cancellation. Can you come at 10 a.m.? She asked. 2 hours later, I was sitting in Rothman's downtown Portland office on the 15th floor, with a view of the Willamette River. James Rothman was 58, with gray hair and a confident demeanor that immediately put me at ease. I brought my USB drive with all the evidence. As I showed him the browser history, screenshots, and timeline, his expression grew increasingly impressed. This is exceptional documentation, Mr. Hayes. You did exactly the right thing, he said, reviewing the files. Most people confront immediately, and the spouse destroys evidence. You preserved everything. He studied the timeline, noting the 4-month planning period. She's systematic. This suggests financial preparation too. Do you have joint accounts? He asked. Yes. Joint checking, joint savings, both names on the house. Don't move any money yet. That looks bad. But monitor everything daily, he advised. He laid out a legal strategy. Don't confront yet. Give her rope to hang herself. Monitor accounts for unusual activity. Document any further suspicious behavior. Look for evidence of an affair, if any. Check for hidden accounts and assets, and preserve the chain of custody on all evidence. If you confront now, she'll know you're onto her, he warned. She'll move money, delete evidence, lawyer up immediately. The better plan is to let her make the first move while we're prepared. Or we file first when we have everything documented. He explained that Oregon was a community property state with exceptions. Inheritance received during marriage, gifts to one spouse, and property acquired before marriage were separate property. Did either of you receive inheritance recently? He asked. Her father died 18 months ago. She inherited about $180,000, I remembered. James's eyes narrowed. And you noticed her searching, is my husband entitled to my inheritance? Yes. She knows that's separate property and doesn't want you to get it, he said. But if she commingled it with joint funds, it may be community property. I need you to find out where that money went. He gave me homework. Pull credit reports for both of us. Check for unknown accounts. Review all joint account statements for 18 months. Look for large transfers or withdrawals. Check if she opened a P.O. box. Monitor her laptop usage and document everything with dates and screenshots. The cost, $5,000 retainer, estimated $15-25K total. I wrote a check from my individual account where my work bonuses went. Don't confront. Don't tip her off. Gather evidence. he repeated as I left. That afternoon, with the kids at school and Kristen at the office, I started my investigation. First, I pulled my credit report from Annual Credit Report, COM. Everything looked as expected. No surprises. Then I pulled Kristen's. We'd done this before for our mortgage refinance, so I had all the information needed. I discovered a credit card I didn't know about. A Bank of America Visa opened in August 2023 with a $15,000 credit limit and a current balance of $0. She was paying it off monthly. Next, I logged into our joint Chase checking account. Both of us had access to all statements, so this wasn't anything unusual. I reviewed the last 18 months of activity and found July 2021, deposit of $180,000 with the memo, estate distribution, Robert Marsh, her father's estate. August 2021, transfer of $180,000 to our joint savings. September 2021, transfer of $180,000 out to a different account with a memo, K. Hayes, personal savings. The account number didn't look familiar. She had moved the inheritance to a separate account immediately after depositing it in our joint account, a classic case of commingling. I Googled the routing number from the transfer and identified it as U.S. Bank. We didn't bank at U.S. Bank. She had opened it secretly. Continuing through the statements, I found a pattern over the last 6 months. Monthly transfers of $2,000, $3,000 to this U.S. bank account, labeled as savings. The total transferred was approximately $18,000 additional. I couldn't access the Bank of America card since it wasn't a joint account, but the credit report showed it was being used and paid off each month. She was probably using it for expenses she wanted to hide. Reviewing her paychecks for the last 6 months, I noticed discrepancies. Her July paycheck was $200 less than usual. August was $500 less. September was $2,000 less. The shortfalls matched the savings transfers. She had reduced her direct deposit to our joint account and was redirecting a portion to U.S. Bank. I remembered the search post office box rental near me and made a mental note to check the mail carefully over the next few days. I documented everything. Screenshots of every statement showing transfers, a spreadsheet tracking all money movement, calculations showing approximately $198,000 potentially hidden in the U.S. bank account. I recorded dates, amounts, and memo fields, saving everything to an encrypted folder labeled Financial Analysis Octu 2023 with backups to cloud, USB, and email. The pattern was clear. Inheritance, July 2021. Father's death, February 2021. Start of divorce. Research, June 2023. Start of additional transfers. April 2023. The timeline suggested 6+ months of financial preparation. I felt sick looking at it all. She had been stealing from our joint funds, hiding nearly $200,000, planning her exit for months, all while I thought we were building our future together. I wanted to confront her, demand an explanation, but I remembered James's advice. Let her continue. Don't tip your hand. I sent James a summary of my findings with all documentation. His response was immediate. Excellent work. This is major evidence. Keep monitoring. Don't confront. Thursday evening, with Kristen working late again, I found her laptop still on the home office desk. I opened it while the kids did their homework in the kitchen. I found new searches from Wednesday. Family law attorney Portland. Consultation with divorce lawyer free. Custody arrangements Oregon girls. Primary custody father versus mother statistics. I opened her Gmail. She stayed logged in on the laptop and found an email from yesterday to Morrison and Associates Family Law. I'm interested in scheduling a consultation to discuss divorce proceedings. I've been married 13 years with 2 children ages 10 and 7. I'm seeking primary custody and fair asset division. I'm available for initial consultation next week. The response confirmed an appointment. We can see you Tuesday, October 10th at 2 p.m. Please bring financial documents. 6 days away. I checked her Outlook calendar and found Tuesday at 2 p.m. blocked as Client Meeting Morrison Case. She was using a fake case name to hide her attorney meeting. Looking through her calendar for the past 3 months, I found a pattern of Morrison meetings. September 15th, Morrison deposition. September 22nd, Morrison client meeting. August 30, Morrison research. I cross-referenced these with her browser history. September 15th, apartment searches on Zillow. September 22, job searches in other cities. August 30th, divorce lawyer reviews. She'd been using a fake case name to cover her tracks, using her paralegal job as the perfect cover. But I had evidence of her real searches versus her fake calendar entries. I documented everything. Screenshots of the Gmail exchange with the attorney, screenshots of her calendar with fake entries, side-by-side comparisons with her actual browser history, and a narrative explaining the deception. All saved with timestamps, updated on my USB drive, uploaded to Google Drive, and emailed to James. His response: "This is gold. We now know her timeline. She's filing soon. We need to decide. Let her file first or file ourselves." We scheduled a meeting for Monday to discuss our strategy. Friday night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced through all the evidence. 4+ months of divorce research. Hidden U.S. bank account with $198,000 secret credit card. Diverted paycheck deposits. Attorney consultations scheduled fake calendar entries. Job searches in other states. Apartment searches. All documented, backed up, chain of custody preserved. Should I confront her now or wait? If we waited, we could let her file first, appear reactive, not aggressive, gather more evidence, see if she moved more money, catch her in more lies. But if we acted, we could file first, control the narrative, freeze accounts before she could hide more, prevent her from leaving the state with the kids, and strike while I had superior evidence. Saturday morning, I called James from my car where Kristen couldn't overhear. After a 30-minute discussion, he recommended, "File Monday. Here's why. You have overwhelming evidence. She's meeting with an attorney Tuesday. After that meeting, she'll likely move fast. We file first, request temporary orders, freeze accounts, prevent dissipation of assets, request custody evaluation. She'll be caught completely off guard." The plan: Monday, 9 a.m., file divorce petition, include request for temporary restraining order on accounts, request temporary custody arrangement, 50-50 pending evaluation. Attach evidence of hidden accounts and asset dissipation. Serve her Monday evening at home, and file for emergency hearing on asset preservation. The kids, how do we tell them? I asked, my voice cracking for the first time. Not yet. Let her be served first, then you both sit down with them together, James advised. The hardest part was acting normal all weekend. Saturday we had a family day. Park, lunch, movie. Kristen was affectionate with the kids but distant with me. She constantly checked her phone, texting someone. Sunday we went to church, had brunch, attended the kids' activities. We both played the happy family. Sunday night, Kristen said she loved me before bed. You're lying, I thought. You've been lying for months. Love you too, I replied. One last lie before the truth came out. Monday, October 9th, 8 a.m. I dropped the kids at school as usual, then drove straight to James Rothman's office. The petition for dissolution of marriage was 47 pages, with attachments. Exhibit A, browser history screenshots with dates. Exhibit B, Bank statements showing the hidden account. Exhibit C. Credit report showing the secret credit card. Exhibit D. Email to the divorce attorney. Exhibit E. Calendar entries versus actual activities. Exhibit F. Timeline of financial asset transfers. Exhibit G. My sworn declaration of evidence discovery. The temporary orders requested freeze all joint accounts. Prevent transfer or disposal of assets. Temporary 50-50 custody arrangement. Maintain status quo on residence, both stay in house until hearing. Prevent either party from leaving state with children. At 9:17 a.m., we filed at Multnomah County Circuit Court. A process server was scheduled to serve Kristen at 6 p.m. at our home. I went to work and tried to act normal, though I could barely function. At 2:30 p.m., Kristen texted me, "Don't forget Emma has soccer at 5. Can you take her?" "Sure, I'll handle it," I responded, our last normal text exchange. At 5 p.m., I picked up Emma from school and took her to soccer. The process server arrived at our house at 5:45 p.m. Kristen had gotten home early, ironically. At 5:52 p.m., my phone exploded with notifications. 7 missed calls and 12 texts from Kristen. What the fuck? You filed for divorce? How could you do this without talking to me? You're trying to take my kids? Answer your fucking phone. I can't believe you. We're supposed to work on things first. The irony that she was outraged I didn't talk to her first wasn't lost on me. I didn't respond, following James's advice. At 6:15 p.m., soccer ended, and I took Emma home. Kristen's car was in the driveway, lights on in the house. "Is Mommy home early?" Emma asked. "Looks like it, sweetheart," I answered, my heart pounding. When we walked in, Kristen was at the kitchen table, divorce papers spread out, her face red from crying. She looked up at me with pure rage. Emma sensed the tension immediately. "Mommy, are you okay?" Kristen forced a smile. "I'm fine, baby. Go play upstairs with Sophie." After Emma ran upstairs and her door closed, we stood in silence for 10 long seconds. "How dare you?" Kristen finally exploded, her voice low and intense. I remained calm. "How dare I what? File for divorce without even talking to me. This is insane." She was practically shaking. "Really? You want to talk about not communicating?" I asked, my voice steady. She faltered slightly. "What does that mean?" I pulled out my phone and showed her a screenshot of her browser history. All the color drained from her face. October 3rd. I borrowed your laptop, found your searches, all of them. She stammered. You went through my laptop?" "Our family laptop. The one we both use," I corrected. "That's an invasion of privacy," she deflected. "You've been planning to divorce me for 4 months. You've hidden $198,000 in accounts I don't know about. You have a consultation with the divorce attorney scheduled for tomorrow, so don't talk to me about privacy." Her eyes widened. "How do you—" "You've been spying on me." "I've been protecting myself. There's a difference." She scrambled for justification. "The money is my inheritance from my father, which you deposited in our joint account first. That's commingling. It's community property now." As a paralegal, she knew I was right. The panic in her eyes confirmed it. "You can't just take my father's money," she cried. "I'm not taking anything. I'm preventing you from hiding assets. All in the filing." She looked at the petition, saw all the exhibits. Her face changed as she read each attachment. Browser history with dates, bank statements, the credit card she thought was secret, her email to Morrison and Associates. Everything. "You've been planning this. You trapped me," she accused. "I documented what you were doing. I didn't trap you. You trapped yourself. Why didn't you just talk to me? We could have worked this out," she said, desperation creeping into her voice. "Worked what out? Your plan to leave me, hide money, take the kids to another state?" "I wasn't going to take them to another state," she denied. "Your bookmarks show job searches in Seattle, San Francisco, and Austin. You were planning to leave Oregon." She had no response to that. "Is there someone else?" I asked, the question that had been haunting me. "No, God, no. There's no one else," she insisted. I wasn't sure I believed her. She started crying now. I wasn't happy. I felt trapped. I needed an exit plan. For 4 months, you pretended everything was fine, slept next to me, said you loved me, all while planning your escape. I was trying to protect myself, she defended. From what? I never threatened you, never hurt you, never gave you reason to hide money or plan in secret. You wouldn't understand, she broke down. You're right. I don't understand. But I also don't care anymore. It's done. Can we at least try counseling? For the kids? She pleaded. You should have thought about the kids before you started planning this, I said with finality. The next morning, Tuesday, Kristen's attorney from Morrison and Associates called James. Sarah Morrison had 15 years of experience and a reputation as an aggressive litigator. Her tone was professional but cold. Mr. Rothman, I'm representing Kristen Hayes. Your filing is aggressive and unnecessary. My client is willing to negotiate reasonable terms. My client has evidence your client has been hiding assets and planning this divorce for months. The temporary orders are entirely appropriate, James responded. The money in question is her inheritance, separate property, Sarah defended, which she deposited into joint accounts first, commingled. We have bank statements. There was a pause. She knew commingling killed the separate property claim. She pivoted. The custody request is vindictive. My client is the primary caregiver. My client works from home 3 days a week, takes kids to school every morning, handles all medical appointments, coaches soccer. He's very involved, James countered with evidence. We'll be filing our own temporary orders, she said, scrambling. File whatever you want. We have documentation of everything, James replied calmly. After the call ended, James phoned me. She's scrambling. Her attorney knows the evidence is bad. The hearing for temporary orders was scheduled for October 20th. On Wednesday, October 11th, the court granted a temporary restraining order on our accounts. All joint accounts frozen. No transfers over $500 without court approval. Both parties must disclose all accounts by October 18th. Neither party may dissipate assets. Current living situation maintained. Both parents continue caring for children as before. Kristen now had to disclose the U.S. bank account. On Thursday, she filed her financial disclosure, listing the U.S. bank account with $197,450 and explaining it as inheritance from deceased father, kept separate for estate planning purposes. James filed a response. Deposited in joint account before transfer, constituting commingling and gift to community. The battle lines were clearly drawn. On October 25th, Kristen had her deposition at Morrison and Associates. Present were Kristen, Sarah Morrison, me, James Rothman, and a court reporter. After Kristen was sworn in, James began his questioning. When did you first consider divorcing your husband? He asked. June or July of this year, I think, she replied. And when did you start researching divorce lawyers? Around that time. Did you research how to hide assets before divorce? She paused for a long time. I was just looking at general information. Yes or no? Did you research hiding assets? I may have searched for that, yes. When did you open the U.S. bank account? August 2021. Why didn't you tell your husband about it? It was my inheritance. I wanted to keep it separate. But you deposited it in your joint account first, correct? Only briefly, for estate settlement purposes. For 30 days? That's a long, brief period. I was handling estate paperwork. Did you tell your husband you were transferring $180,000 to a secret account? It wasn't secret. It was separate. Did you tell him yes or no? No. When did you start diverting portions of your paycheck to the U.S. bank account? I don't recall exactly. Bank statements show April 2023. Does that refresh your memory? If the records show that, yes. Why were you transferring money from joint funds to your hidden account? Objection. Asked and answered, Sarah interjected. James rephrased. Why did you transfer joint marital funds to an account your husband didn't know about? I was saving for the future, Kristen claimed. Whose future? Yours alone? Our family's future. If it was for the family, why hide it from your husband? She had no answer. Mrs. Hayes, did you schedule a consultation with your current attorney before your husband filed for divorce? Yes. When? October 10th. And what was the purpose of that consultation? To discuss my options. Divorce options? Yes. So you were planning to file for divorce yourself? I was considering it. And you had been researching divorce for 4 months by that point? I suppose so. Did you tell your husband you were unhappy in the marriage? We had discussed issues. When specifically? I don't recall specific dates. Did you suggest marriage counseling? No, but did you ask him to go to therapy with you? No. Did you have any conversation with him indicating you wanted a divorce before he filed? No. So he had no idea you were planning to leave? I hadn't decided for sure. But you researched apartments, divorce lawyers, hiding assets, moving to other states, all without telling him? I was exploring options. Were you involved with anyone else romantically? No. Have you been in any romantic or sexual relationship with anyone other than your husband during the marriage? No. Do you have dating app profiles? No. Have you searched for dating advice or relationship information online? She paused. I may have looked at general articles. About what? Dating after divorce. When? September, maybe. So, before your husband filed, you were researching dating after your planned divorce? I was just reading articles. It doesn't mean anything. Every answer made her look worse. Sarah called recess 3 times to consult with her client. On November 1st, while Kristen was at work, I checked her laptop again. She still didn't know I had been monitoring it. I found new searches from late October. Can I be forced to pay spouse's attorney fees? How to win custody battle Oregon. Parental alienation tactics. Mother's rights in divorce. There was also new correspondence in her Gmail with a private investigator firm. The subject line read, background check request, and she was asking them to investigate me for any criminal history, financial irregularities, or personal conduct issues. Specifically, she wanted evidence of alcohol abuse, anger issues, or anything that might impact custody evaluation. The irony was that she wouldn't find anything. No affairs, no criminal record, no hidden accounts. She was desperately fishing. I also found email exchanges with her best friend, Rachel, Kristen. I can't believe this is happening. He blindsided me. He's making me look like the villain when I was just protecting myself. Rachel. You knew you should have told him about the money. I warned you. Kristen. Whose side are you on? Rachel. I'm on your side, but come on, Kay, you hit almost 200K. That's bad. Kristen. It was my money. Rachel. You put it in the joint account first. You told me you did that so he wouldn't question the deposit. Kristen. Don't bring that up in court. Rachel. I'm not involved in your court case, but I'm also not lying if someone asks me. Even her best friend knew she was being deceptive. I also found text messages. Her phone was synced to her laptop through iMessage to unknown number. I need to talk to you. This is getting really bad. Response: You should have thought about that before you didn't tell him. Kristen: Are you seriously lecturing me right now? Unknown: I'm just saying, you made this mess. Kristen: Thanks for the support, Michael. Michael? I didn't know any Michael in her life. Searching back through her iMessage history, I found that Michael first appeared in July 2023, the same time her divorce research started. July 15th. Michael: How'd the lunch go? Kristen: It was nice. Thanks for meeting me. Michael: Anytime. You deserve someone who listens to you. August 3rd. Michael: Thinking about what you said, you're right. You shouldn't feel trapped. Kristen: Thank you for understanding. August 12th. Michael: Can we meet for coffee this weekend? Kristen: I'll have to see. Dom might be around. Michael: You'll have to tell him eventually. Kristen: Not yet. Not until I have everything in place. September 1st. Michael: I'm here when you're ready to make the move. Kristen: Soon, I promise. It wasn't explicitly physical, but it was clearly an emotional affair. Michael had encouraged her to leave, and the timeline matched exactly with her divorce planning. I documented everything, backing up all the iMessage history and sending it to James with a summary. Found evidence of emotional affair. His response: This completely undermines her unhappy marriage defense. She had outside influence pushing her to divorce. Excellent find. The court ordered a custody evaluation with Dr. Rebecca Foster, a licensed psychologist. The process included individual interviews with each parent, home visits to see each parent with the children, age-appropriate interviews with the children, and a review of all evidence and depositions. My interview on November 8th covered my daily routine with the kids. School drop-offs every morning, homework help, coaching Emma's soccer team, handling medical appointments, making lunches and dinners when Kristen worked late, reading to Sophie before bed every night. I provided evidence, kids' school records showing me as the primary emergency contact, the soccer team roster listing me as assistant coach, pediatrician records showing me attending appointments, and teachers' statements about my involvement. Kristen's interview on November 10th described herself as the primary caregiver. She claimed I worked too much and had recently become more involved, but wasn't before. The problem was that school records contradicted this. I'd been involved since kindergarten. During the home visit on November 15th, Dr. Foster arrived at 4 p.m. The kids had just gotten home from school, and I was helping them with homework at the kitchen table. The house was clean and organized, with the kids' artwork on the walls. The girls were comfortable, joking with me. "Dad, can you help me with this math problem?" Emma asked, completely at ease. Dr. Foster observed our dinner routine. I cooked, the girls set the table. It was natural, not a performance. Kristen's home visit on November 17th was different. Dr. Foster arrived at 5 p.m. The kids were with me per the custody schedule, and Kristen had to pick them up. The girls were excited to see their mom, but slightly awkward. Kristen's apartment was a newly rented one-bedroom where the girls would share an inflatable mattress in the living room when they stayed over. It wasn't set up for children yet. No toys, no books, temporary furniture. In the child interviews, Emma, 10, said, "I love both my parents. Dad makes better pancakes, but Mom is good at braiding hair. I like our house better than Mom's apartment because I have my own room." Sophie, 7, said, "Daddy reads me stories every night. Mommy is really busy with work. I miss when we all lived together." Dr. Foster's observation notes indicated that I was highly involved, with the children comfortable and secure with me, and we had established routines. Kristen was loving but had less day-to-day involvement, was work-focused, and had a less established routine with the children in her new living situation. On November 30th, Dr. Foster issued her report, recommending 50-50 shared custody with primary residence at the family home with me. Kristen would maintain her current home until the divorce was final, then secure a 2-bedroom apartment for proper custody arrangements. The weekly schedule would alternate 3 to 4 days with each parent. There was no evidence of parental unfitness from either party, and both parents were capable. The children would benefit from time with both, but I had a slight advantage due to established routine, home stability, and historical involvement in daily care. Kristen filed an objection, claiming the evaluator was biased. Sarah Morrison argued that the evaluator gave too much weight to housing situation which is temporary. The judge responded, "The evaluation is thorough and supported by evidence. Objection denied." On December 5th, James filed supplemental evidence. All iMessage texts between Kristen and Michael. He argued, respondent was influenced by third party to pursue divorce, undermining claim of irreconcilable differences stemming from marital issues. Sarah Morrison objected, private conversations not relevant. James countered, shows state of mind and external influence on decision to divorce. The judge allowed the texts as evidence. Kristen's deposition continued. "Who is Michael?" James asked. "A friend from work," Kristen replied. "How did you meet?" "He works at a firm we partner with." "When did you start confiding in him about your marriage?" "I don't remember exactly." The texts show July 2023. Does that refresh your memory? Possibly. Did you tell him you were planning to divorce your husband? We discussed my unhappiness. Did he encourage you to leave? He supported my feelings. Did he say, you deserve someone who listens to you? Reading from her own text. Yes, he said that. Did you meet him for coffee and lunch during your marriage? As friends. Did your husband know about these meetings? No. Why not? It didn't come up. Or you deliberately hid it. I didn't hide it. I just didn't mention it. Did you tell Michael, not until I have everything in place regarding telling your husband? She paused for a long time. Yes. Everything in place meaning your plan to divorce and hide assets? Objection, Sarah interjected. Withdrawn. No further questions, James said, his point made. Kristen's credibility was completely shredded. On December 15th, the judge ordered a settlement conference. You two need to settle this. You're spending your kids' college fund on attorneys. The numbers. House, $680,000 value, $390,000 mortgage, $290,000 equity. Joint savings, $47,000, frozen since October. My 401k, $240,000, Kristen's 401k, $180,000, Kristen's U.S. bank account, $194.50 total marital assets, $94.50 Kristen's opening position was that she should keep the U.S. bank account as separate property, $197K. The remaining assets, $757K, should be split 50-50, widening $378K each. She would get the house and buy out my equity at $145K. We would have 50-50 custody, and I would pay her $233K, $378K minus $145K buyout. My counter was that the U.S. bank account was community property, commingled. All assets, $954K, should be split 60-40 in my favor due to her asset hiding and dissipation. I would get 60% OS or $572,700. The house would sell with equity split per settlement. We would have 50-50 custody with primary residence at the family home until sale. Each would keep our own 401K, and there would be no spousal support either direction. After 6 hours of back and forth, the judge intervened. Mrs. Hayes, you deposited your inheritance in a joint account. That's textbook commingling. The law is clear. Kristen finally realized she wouldn't win the inheritance fight. We reached a compromise. U.S. bank account, 70% to Kristen, $138,215, 30% to me, $59,235, acknowledging it was originally her inheritance, but she commingled it. House sells, equity split 50-50, $145K each, remaining joint savings, split 50-50, $23.5K each. Each keeps own 401K total to Kristen, $485K total to me, $467K 50-50 custody, alternating weeks. No spousal support, each pays own attorney fees. Kristen accepted reluctantly, realizing it was better than going to trial. I accepted because it was fair enough, close to equal, and avoided a trial. We signed the agreement on December 20th, 2023. On January 15th, 2024, we had our final divorce hearing. Both parties agreed to the settlement, so it was uncontested. The judge reviewed the terms and asked if we both understood and agreed. Yes, Your Honor, we both replied. The decree dissolved our marriage effective immediately. The custody order established 50-50 shared custody with a week-on, week-off schedule. The house would be listed for sale February 1st. Duration from filing to finalization, 3 months and 6 days. Outside the courthouse, we didn't speak. Kristen left with Sarah Morrison. I left with James Rothman. In March 2024, our house sold for $695,000. After the mortgage and costs, we each received $150,000 from the equity. I bought a nice 3-bedroom house near the kids' school. Kristen rented a 2-bedroom apartment, unable to afford to buy yet. In April 2024, I received a notice that Kristen was being audited by the IRS for her 2021 to 2023 tax returns. The reason? A large unreported account, U.S. bank, and discrepancies. I had reported all my income accurately. Kristen's problem was that she didn't report interest income from the U.S. bank account and told the IRS the money was separate, but filed joint returns claiming lower income. The consequences: $18,000 in back taxes, $7,000 in penalties, and a potential criminal referral. I wasn't involved. I didn't tip off the IRS. But I did include all account information in our divorce filings, which are public record. Her attempt to hide assets resulted in tax fraud exposure. Her law firm learned about it, and since tax fraud is an ethical violation for paralegals, she was terminated in June 2024. She took a $20,000 pay cut at a smaller firm. Now she was making $75,000 with $1,800 month rent, paying an IRS payment plan. Michael ghosted her once the divorce drama intensified. She was isolated, having lost her job, lost Michael, and having a strained relationship with the kids who preferred staying at my house. My position was much better. I had a nicer house, was the kids' primary residence by their choice, had a stable job, a clean reputation, and $150,000 from the house sale invested wisely. I didn't have to do anything vindictive. Her own deception destroyed her. By July 2024, 6 months post-divorce, we had settled into a new normal. The kids had adjusted to the schedule but preferred staying at my house where they had their own rooms, an established routine, and all their friends nearby. Kristen still had 50-50 custody legally, But the girls asked to stay extra nights with me, and she reluctantly allowed it, knowing fighting would only make it worse. The difference was stark. My house was stable, familiar, with their friends nearby. Kristen's apartment was smaller, farther from school, and her work stress was apparent. I had started dating occasionally, nothing serious, as the kids remained my priority. I was financially stable and mostly free of bitterness. Kristen was still angry about how it all unfolded, blaming me for trapping her rather than acknowledging her own deception. She was in therapy, which was helping, but progress was slow. The irony was that if she'd just been honest from the start, filed jointly, split 50-50, she'd have 200,000 plus more and a better relationship with the kids. Instead, her deception cost her everything. By October 2024, 1 year since I found the browser history, I often reflected on how that one accidental discovery changed everything. What if my laptop hadn't broken? What if I'd confronted her immediately? What if I hadn't documented everything? My methodical approach had saved me. The evidence, preserved perfectly with chain of custody maintained, had won the case. Emma, 11, and Sophie, 8, were thriving. They chose to spend 70% of their time at my house, and Kristen had finally stopped fighting it. A year of therapy had given her some self-awareness. Our interactions were polite at exchanges, and we co-parented functionally. I was no longer angry. I'd moved on. I'd been dating Laura, a teacher at the kids' school, for 3 months. The difference between Kristen and Laura was stark. Everything with Kristen had been hidden. Everything with Laura was open. I still kept the USB drive with all the evidence in a safe deposit box as a reminder of how one moment of curiosity, typing A into a search bar, had revealed months of deception. I was grateful for my analytical mind that said, document first, confront later. Trust, but verify. Protect yourself. Evidence wins cases. One October evening, as I was cooking dinner with my daughters, Emma asked, "Dad, why did you and Mom split up?" I considered my answer carefully. Sometimes adults grow apart, but we both love you very much. I like it better this way. You're happier, Sophie said, setting the table. She was right. I was happier. One search bar autocomplete had saved my financial future and my relationship with my kids. Documentation wins. Always document,